Hello guys, this is What About Nintendo. We're back for the second part of the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 discussions. This one will be full of spoilers. We're going to be going over the story, the voice acting, music per cutscene, different later worlds or titans that you can go to, and of course, so if you're not wanting to be spoiled of this game, you don't want any spoilers. Make sure to click out now because we will be going over tons and tons of spoilers, including the final boss and all that kind of stuff. But I'm joined again with Andres Restart down over there. Why don't you introduce yourself again, and then we'll get into it.
Hey everyone, it's Andres Restart. So yeah, I'm ready to go again.
Nice. Okay. Spoilers start now. We will not be warning anymore. But I guess we'll just start in chronological order. I guess that makes it easy for me because it's a story. I feel like I'll start this time, but the opening of the game, I don't know. Some people complain that the opening of the game is very slow story-wise, which of course it starts out with Rex diving off of the ship, just finding stuff, talking to Gramps, eating food, kind of slow. And of course you see, the Titan dying and falling into the ocean, which is kind of the highlight of that thing, and even that felt super slow. But I never really felt that was a problem, because in my opinion it kind of highlights Rex's kind of life. It kind of gives him a backstory, it gives Gramps a backstory, it gives all Rex in general a backstory, and it just highlights the fact that in the beginning nobody, like, there's a problem, of course, of, Titans dying, people running out of space. There's that looming over everybody. But people, it's not so bad yet that people are panicking that, the world's, like, imminently in danger. You don't really get that sense. You're kind of, blissfully unaware of everything you learn later that's happening to the world. Rex is kind of just blissfully unaware of anything, and he's just kind of going around his normal life. And so I feel like it highlights that very well, in my opinion. But what do you think of the opening of the game here, Andres? Do you think it's too slow or no?
First of all, I love the opening to the game. I think it's great. I love it. I think it's cool. And yeah, I mean, it's an RPG, okay? You're going into it you should be going into it knowing it's going to be a story-centric game, meaning that you're going to see cutscenes. You're going to see a lot of them. That's kind of a big part of what RPGs are. So yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. And I actually love how it transitions. You see Rex swimming underwater. He comes up. I think it's very mysterious, but it's also very humble, and it does sort of help to build the world around. It sort of tells you what's going on, and I like it. It's the beginning, and I also love the homage to the original Xenoblade. Like, because if you look at the scene with Rex, rummaging through the little chest that he gets underwater, he finds a little gear and he chucks it. It's the same thing with Shulk in the original Xenoblade, where he's rummaging through junk, finds a gear, and he chucks it. Like, it's very similar, and I love the analogy between both of them. It's just super cool. And what's also interesting is that the way the cutscene works, it seamlessly flows into your very first fight. So I have no complaints with the beginning. I think it's fine. I mean, maybe if, like, you want to replay the game, you're like, oh, I have to watch this cutscene again. Except you can skip cutscenes, so I don't really. No, I don't see. And I have no critiques about the beginning. I really don't.
Yeah, for sure. When I played it, like, I thought there was a lot of story. That's what I play Xenoblade games for, in my opinion. Ever since the first one, X kind of went away from story, which I didn't like at all. But mostly I like to play RPGs, especially Xenoblade, for the story in particular. Like, that's a big draw for me. Of course, the gameplay is also amazing, and I would play the game just for that as well. But, like, please, like, if there was just a Xenoblade anime, like, I'd be totally down for that. If Xenoblade just started, like, being, like, made a Xenoblade movie or Xenoblade anime, I feel like the story itself is strong enough to support that. Like, it's so good. You're getting it almost like a movie's worth, or like a whole series of, what's the word? A series or of anime. I don't know I forget what the word. Season. Thank you. You're getting like a whole seasons of TV content worth of story out of this. So I also go for the story. So when they started cutscenes right off the bat, all this like lore right off the bat, seeing how Rex's backstory and Gramps and all this cool stuff right off the bat. I was super excited, and I thought it was actually felt pretty fast, like it was getting right on into it with the story, which is, of course, as I said, what I really like about Xenoblade. So I feel like it was a perfect opening, and all of the other things I said as well apply still, of course.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I almost feel like playing through the game again. There's just something about the story and going through the game that I think is kind of magical, really. I mentioned it, I think, in part 1 of this little discussion we're having, where I do think some story elements aren't executed perfectly. But despite that, I still enjoy the story very much, and I think there's a lot of really, really special moments. Some really epic moments. I mean, this is one of the early cutscenes where you see Pyra just go ham. Against what's-his-face? Malos.
Yeah, Malos.
Like, then the choreography for that fight was just epic, bro. It was epic. And seeing all the particle effects and the flips and the fiery sword attacks, it was awesome. I loved it. It was really cool.
So yeah. Obviously, we can't go over every story beat, so I feel like we should probably talk about characters.
How about some emotional moments?
Yeah, I'm thinking we should go over emotional moments and just talk about the different characters, which will, I think, in it of itself bring up moments.
You want to know who's my favorite driver in the game?
Sure. Who?
Vandam.
Oh, he's so good.
The best. I love using him at the end of the game because he's become so OP.
Yeah, he's really fun to use.
I'm kidding.
You're kidding, obviously. I know he's not at the end of the game. I know.
It's a spoiler, so we can talk about it. I haven't been able to say that at all. I haven't been able to say Vandam dies.
Vandam dies!
He's dead.
Hear it, world. Vandam's dead. He's dead, guys.
I think he was the first legitimate death. Although Rex's grandpa, he doesn't die, but his form.
He kind of dies, but then
he makes you think. It makes you think he's dead.
He dies and regenerates, so maybe he was dead for a little bit.
He's alive. He doesn't die. He's still alive. But
he's alive
entirely.
Yeah.
A spoiler. I mean, this entire thing's a spoiler. He does regain his form at the end. So.
I think we should go over probably every main character, and like in order of when you meet them. I think that will probably be the best way to get all the emotional moments and still
Rex.
go chronologically. So obviously, start off with Rex.
Rex, I think. Okay, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So,
okay.
I think some people. I watched it in all the English dub. Obviously, that's what I used. I know a lot of people kind of complained about Rex's voice actor. I never really thought it was bad. I thought some emotion. He cannot scream. He cannot do the Shulk scream. He's just terrible at it. I really wish he could, because Adam Howden is amazing at that. But I still feel like his voice acting is really good, and he's really, really good at the snarky moments. And Rex is a very snarky person. I don't know, like, how much you guys notice this, but he's constantly ripping jokes and just like making fun of people, and just he has the best comebacks.
It's become a meme. There's a few story moments that have become memes. Like, it's pretty cool, man. Like, there's a lot, actually. I love this game. There's just so many cool moments. But one of the cool moments is when when you guys meet what's his face, when you fight what's his face,
Malos, Jin.
No, he's a good guy.
Good fandom.
No, Thunderblade dude.
Oh! I totally knew his name. Zeke.
When you fight Zeke,
Zeke's so good.
Right, but like, what's it like? Jesus, all the names are like slipping my mind right now. Mia, when Mia calls Zeke a one-eyed monster, and then Rex is like, Mia, you do know what that means, right? Like, and then they just look at Mithra, and Mithra is just blushing, and she's like, and then Rex is like, what? Why are you blushing? And then she just slaps him in the face. The screen cracks, and that enters the battle scene. But for the record, one-eyed monster is an innuendo to, it's a phallic reference, penis. So yeah. Which is kind of funny how like the game has a lot of like those little quirky, little like funny like sex jokes. And that's the thing actually that I've noticed that this game, like its exterior may seem more child friendly, but there's a lot of like semi-mature themes throughout the game. Like there's a lot of death, there's not a lot of sex, but there's a lot of references to marriage and romance and sexual themes on top of blood and death, and there's a lot of mature themes brought spoken of throughout the game. There's even cursing, which is not something you always see in a Nintendo game, especially a game like Xenoblade, which is,
the original Xenoblade hardly had any. X started introducing more, but 2 I think has the most.
Calls like Zeke like a little bitch like a couple of times throughout the game.
She totally does.
And it's funny. So it's cool. I like that it doesn't feel like they were holding back the story. Mm-hmm. And that I appreciated.
Yeah. To bring up that point, there is one heart to heart that takes place in what's the place? Oh, Morardain. In the hot springs of Morardain. You can go there.
Yeah.
It involves Zeke, Morag, and it's not Ricky, it's not Tetsu, it's oh gosh, what's the Noppon's name? Andres, help me out here.
I don't know, man. I'm really bad with names.
Dude, I am too. But the Noppon, the main, oh my gosh, how can I forget? The main Noppon's characters, I literally have been talking about
Poppy's
this.
Master.
Poppy's Master, that we cannot remember the name of, even though he's an exceptionally amazing character. He's there, and he literally asks Morag, I don't know, Morag kind of has a more, I guess, I don't know what the right word is for it, but she kind of acts... No, Ricky's the other one. Ricky. But she kind of acts more manly, I guess, and... It's not Tatsu. But the Noppon kind of refers to her as a male. He doesn't really understand that she is a female. He seems to have this kind of childish understanding of what the difference between male and female is. And he offers up to bathe with
Tora, by the way.
Tora offers the offer of everyone bathing with each other in an open air bath. And Morag is just like, that won't, she's so confused.
And Tora's like, come on, Morag, man up.
Right? And like, be a man.
Man up and drop your pants.
Right? You don't like me. It's because you hate me. This is why you won't do it. It's because you hate me. All this stuff. And then she finally, at least in the path I went to, she finally agrees, but she says she has to keep all her clothes on. I was just like, that's kind of a
really?
mature...
She agreed?
She agreed in the one I did. She agreed, but she...
No, she didn't agree for me.
Oh, she didn't agree for you. The path I went on to, she totally agreed. And she was like, but I'm keeping all my clothes on. I was just like, that's
wow.
Weird. I was just laughing the entire time. It was hilarious.
It's weird, man.
It's weird, but it was like a very funny weird because it was, I don't know how to describe it. It was funny to me. So,
yeah, well, I enjoy all the character interactions. There's a lot of funny moments between the characters. There's the one, you can always talk about I don't know, Rex has like a weird he has too many girls, right, that want him.
Shulk had the same problem.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's worse for Rex, because Rex has 3. Worse. And 2 of them, are a part of each other.
Oh, gosh. That's a weird situation. Yeah, till the end.
Until the end.
Which we can't talk about, because spoilers and stuff. We can talk about that.
Yeah, we can. We can talk about it. It's... It's cool.
Yeah, in order to talk about it, I think we should start talking about Pyra then, or should I say, Mithra and Pyra? That's the same.
Mithra.
Mithra. I was gonna make a combination of the names, but it just ended up being the exact same.
Her true name, right, is Nuema. I think the P is silent. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, is it silent? I listened to it in English, and I still do not know if the piece.
I'm not sure, but anyways, once they say that name, it's a ban. She doesn't use it, so it doesn't really matter. She's either Mithra or Pyra. Well, she's both, because they're really 2 different characters. Mm-hmm. Kind of. They're sisters, basically. They're sisters. Um,
Yeah, almost.
so they are. They call themselves sisters.
Yeah, but I mean, like, technically they're not.
They're not. They're not. They don't have They're not a traditional sisters, but they think of themselves as sisters, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means for Rex in his future, but they're sisters.
Pyra overall, I personally prefer Pyra. She's more cool-headed. She's less in your face and just always snarky and rude like Mithra is. So I tend to like her better. But I do like the dynamic between them because they interact with each other a lot, and they are kind of two people even though they're one person, but they have very different personalities, which I find very interesting. But I always got the sense that Rex liked Pyra and not Mithra. That was always the sense I got. Like, he likes Pyra.
Well, he cares about both of them, but yeah, he has an attachment to Pyra. He's also used to Pyra. He knew Pyra from the beginning. He did not know Mithra from the beginning, and out of nowhere, Mithra comes out, and she's different, and she's also very strong, right? Like, Pyra is a lot more inviting. She's very, very nice, a lot more soothing and consoling. And Mithra's like, come on, you can do it. You gotta be stronger than that. You gotta be better than that. Like Mithra puts pressure on Rex, not in a way that Pyra doesn't. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's Mia. And Mia's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. It's
I like
Mia with an N. Her name is an N. It's not an M. You keep calling her Mia. It's Nia.
Okay, let me explain. I used to have my grandma's cat used to be called Mia. Okay, so I mix it up. My bad.
And
but
they're
yeah,
both
Nia.
cats. They're both cats.
Yes, they are. But yeah, Nia. Sorry, I said like Mia like 1,000 times too. But no, I love Nia's really cool because she has that transformation, and she becomes OP. Like once she transformed, I just used her as a blade.
Really?
For most of the game.
I did
love
not.
using her as a blade.
I actually decided
so
to
good.
keep her as her own because I liked having her as a healer. Yeah, my party consisted of Rex, Nia, and Tora the entire game. Like, I switched them in and out, and then I was like, I don't like you, and switched them back in. I was like, I like that party.
The party I use now is Rex, Morag, and Zeke. Yeah,
okay.
and
it seems like a higher damage party than mine, probably, but mine is higher survival rate, which I like.
Well, the thing is that I have Nia as a blade, and I switched to her, and she has a blade. She's sick. Like, she heals she can heal, she has this art that can heal your party 50%, everyone by 50%, and it's great. Like, she's really good at healing. That's what she does. She's better as a healer as a blade than she is as a driver. So, between me dropping potions with Mithra and Pyra, and with my topple shot thing, and switching into Nia, right? But also, giving Zeke a healing blade as well, I'm able to heal more than enough to always survive for the most part.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have gone back and tried the Tora, Nia, and Rex combination again. I want to play with all the Poppy transformations and really figure out how to maximize that, because apparently when you max out and you really play with all the settings for different Poppy forms, and you play Tiger enough, she can get really OP as a tank, aggro tank. It's but I haven't really built that up yet.
No, I played Tiger bit, maybe 2-3 hours in total. I beat all the stages.
They added an easy mode, by the way. I don't know if you noticed.
No, I knew there was an easy mode, but I was like, screw that. It probably doesn't give me as good rewards, so I just didn't use it.
Yeah, I didn't do it either.
And it's not that hard in the first place, but when I played it, I only had level 3 unlocked, so I just kept doing level 3 over and over again.
Did you unlock Poppy's third form yet?
No, I don't know how to do that. I thought it would happen in the story, so I never did any side quests or anything for that. Is that a special side quest?
It's a blade quest. It's a blade quest that I referenced in the first discussion, actually. Poppy's blade quest.
Okay, yeah, I haven't done that. That actually, the only ones I've done...
Can I tell you how to do it? Or at least get started?
No. Tell me how to do it? I mean, I kind of know how to do it.
Quest. Just to initiate the quest.
Sure.
Go to Tor's house.
Oh, really?
You'll find his dad there. Yeah.
Oh, I went and found his dad there, but I didn't talk to him.
Why wouldn't you talk to him?
I don't know. I didn't see a thing telling me to talk to him, so I just didn't.
Did you talk to Poppy's sister?
No, bro, I didn't have time for that. I was just like, okay, I'm here, but I was having a little trouble in a boss fight, so I went back. I forget which one, and I just started playing Tiger, and then I was like, okay, back to the boss fight, because I want to go with the story.
You should talk to them.
I'm impatient, man. I can't handle that.
Yeah, should definitely talk. Actually, since we're talking about that, what did you think of that story quest? Actually, of Poppy when Poppy attained her second form. That entire boss fight, that was really cool.
Yeah, I did.
The music,
as well.
especially, was really funky. I love that.
Yeah, Banna is like my favorite character and my favorite Nopon ever. Like, he's one of my favorite characters in the game. His voice acting in the English version is way better than the Japanese version. I've heard them side by side. It's just way better. And he just has such a flair to him that is just like not in the Japanese version. So I don't know if you liked him as much as I did because of that. But he's so interesting. I love how he like rolls his R's when he says stuff. And he's just like this crazy money seeking, like, I don't care what happens, I'm just gonna get money, like Kai. And he just builds up all these robots and doesn't even realize that they're going to be used to end the world and end up killing him if Rex doesn't stop everything. So it's very interesting dynamic there. But I love his character. So that boss fight was very good, and you got to hear him say all kinds of wacky things while fighting him.
I love the boss fight. In terms of Japanese versus English in general, I think the Japanese voices in general, when you play the game, it'll feel more natural overall. However, I don't think the English one is bad. After going back and playing, I do think there's some things you have to get used to, and there are some moments like Rex screaming that doesn't do very well.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, but there are some characters that sound pretty good, but also are different from the Japanese versions. Like, if you play the Japanese version, Pyro may feel like a little bit different of a character, suppose when you listen to her in English. In English, she's seems a little bit more modern, and in Japanese, I feel like the voice really makes me feel like she's a lot more of a consoling character. So and then also I'm not sure how I feel about the voice for Nia in English, because the voice for Nia in English sounds
voice.
Well, it's okay, but she seems a way more mature with that voice as opposed to the voice she has.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But
Japanese.
She just feels like a mature character in general.
Well, the thing is, though, is that Nia sort of becomes a love interest for Rex later into the game, and it doesn't really seem to make as much sense in English as it does in Japanese, I think.
Really? I feel like it makes more sense for her.
It's just that I see Rex as way... I feel like the voice for Nia in English makes her seem a lot more mature than she should be, is what I'm saying. In Japanese, I think the voice matches her character's like stage of development and maturity more.
I wouldn't say I agree with that, but I can kind of see where you're coming from. I just think I found Nia to be a more mature character, I think, than you did. Maybe it's because I played the English first and you played the Japanese first. That could very well be, because they do display characters differently, so maybe I just am used to this way the characters display.
I think you should probably play through the game in Japanese now.
Yeah, I do definitely plan. My second playthrough is going to be in Japanese, so that's going to be very interesting.
The voices will affect your interpretation of the characters a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool, because it adds a different element, and it adds more of a flair and more of a reason to go back and do a second playthrough, other than just, I want to see the same story again. Like, I can see the story in a new light this time. The characters can be a little bit different, have a little bit more flair. But I feel like the English voicing, especially with like Zeke and stuff, when he says like all his different catchphrases and stuff in English, and he has this just amazing accent, and it's just I feel like it personifies his character more than I haven't seen his Japanese voice acting, but I feel like I
wouldn't say it if you haven't seen it, man. It's in Japanese, like the idea of like saying a whole bunch of crazy names like that is something that I've seen done, and it works pretty well. So I wouldn't judge that. I think we both have to try it, go back and play the game in the other alternate language and then kind of compare.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think they do a pretty good job with Zeke in Japanese as well.
Maybe we'll do another discussion after we do that on the
yeah, maybe,
because at this point we both have different perspectives, but they're not whole complete perspectives yet. So I think maybe before either of us judge the voice acting fully, we're gonna need to both play both sides of it.
Like I've been playing the game in English lately, but only through first side quest, so I just kind of hear like their banter, which is okay. Yeah, there's nothing significant, but you know, it's all right. One thing, I mean, we have the DLC, so we're gonna be playing through the game. It's gonna give us reason to play through the game this year. I'm really curious what they'll do for the story quest. Do you think it'll be like I don't think it'll be an epilogue. I'd like it to be an epilogue. I have no idea. Like, do you have any ideas what they'll do for the story quest?
I think we should probably save that for after we talk about the end of the game, because I have some ideas for that. So I think we should...
You want to talk about the end of the game then?
No, I think we should finish out the characters, then talk about the end of the game, then talk about the DLC. That's kind of the way I want to go about that. Okay. So I think the next character, we already went over Rex, Pyra, Nia, is Tora, I guess. We haven't really talked that much about Tora. We even forgot his freaking name, so how much could we have said about him?
He's a furball pedophile.
It's so true. It's so true. I don't know. His character is very interesting.
Pedophile, but I think he has a thing for maids.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy in a way. It's kind of weird, but I guess that's just how his grandfather and father taught him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah,
overall, it's kind of funny because, like, at least in Japanese, I feel like it's true in English too. Like, the story, the interactions make you feel like the character is dumb, but he's actually kind of a genius when it comes to building blades.
I never really got the sense that he was dumb. Actually, I kind of got the sense that he was very smart. I mean, maybe at first glance you could think he was a bit dumb, but overall I think the game did a pretty good job of making him feel pretty dang smart. So I mean, one of the very first things you learn about him is that he made his own artificial blade, which has never been done. Well, it actually hadn't been done at that point. So yeah, I don't know. I got the impression that he's smart, but I also got the impression that he kind of is a good, like, emotional support and like leader kind of type. Like, he's very good at just being. I don't know. He kind of has some leaderish qualities to him.
I'll say this: I think Tora is like the least. Like, of all the other like Nopon that have been in different games, I trust Tora more than I trust Tora more than Tetsu or Hetsu. I don't remember. And
Tatsu and Ricky.
I don't even remember their name. Riku or Ricky?
It's Ricky.
Yeah, I trust Tora more than them.
Oh,
like, I think Tora is of the three main Nopon from each Xenoblade game. I trust Tora the most.
Mm-hmm. I really like Tora. I think he's the best Nopon side character that they've had so far, and I don't know. He continues to be like an integral part of the story, like throughout the entire thing, and I love his connection with Poppy. Like, he's kind of almost, I don't know if he's more Poppy's father or Poppy's brother in a way. Like, they kind of have both aspects to that, as far as how he feels in comparison to her, how their relationship feels.
Well, I feel like there's also the other relationship.
Yeah.
Poppy's lover.
There is,
which is like a weird kind of concept, and I don't think there's any actual loving in there, but it is where I think there is nothing like actual physical intimacy or anything like that. I mean, she's a robot. I'm not gonna get into this video game, but like, I think it is like the idea that they're gonna be life partners, right? Like, that is something that's, you know, an element there, which is interesting in general, right? Because I guess, like, every blade is kind of like a life partner, you know?
Mm-hmm.
At least the main ones with the story are like life partners for each driver.
Yeah.
Which doesn't necessarily mean romance. I am just saying that they are integral.
But they
to their
do
lives.
bring
They are
up
partners.
romance for different blades. They even mentioned that like some blades get married to their
Yes.
drivers. They've mentioned that several
Yes.
times.
Yes.
Another thing I forgot to talk about Rex is as far as his relationship is everyone else seems to like ship them, like Rex and Pyra, like throughout the entire thing. They're just constantly making jokes about it and like egging them on and stuff.
It's a thing. It's not really up for debate. I think. I mean, literally, I think is the last chapter is called "Boy Meets Girl." Like it's not up for debate. There is love there. It is an actual intimacy. But the question is, you know, like there's also Mithra is part of that equation. Nia is also part of that equation. But I think, you know, obviously Pyra is the main girl. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, they're a thing.
Yeah, just wanted to bring that up. Just something I forgot to talk
took
about.
her to his parents' graves. Like she met his parents, sort of. You know? So, and she cooks. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna be sexist. I'm not gonna be sexist here, but that is intentional. They do have her cook there because I think she's meant to have like those kind of maternal features, like those very, you know, idealistic womanly features, like being able to cook, being very consoling, very warm. She is Pyra, warm, fire. Like it's all intentional. These different like motifs that she meets up with.
Yeah.
So it matches up with. So.
But I think we should. I just wanted to mention that real quick. I think we should move on to Poppy. Actually, I think we should speed it up a bit here. We're taking a little bit too long per character. So I think we should go a little bit faster, but I think it's been good.
I mean, I feel like we've covered each character already. Just like not, we've already talked about. We talked about Morag when we were talking about the Blade Quest. We talked about Zeke and how he's awesome. I like. I don't know.
Zeke. I think we should talk more about Zeke. Yeah.
Okay. Like I like that Zeke is like this. When we first meet him, like we don't really know what's going on with him, right? And I love his pet turtle, which is really cute. Yeah, and he's a really cool guy. He's kind of like a Power Ranger almost in the sense that, you know what I mean, like over the top sort of kind of character, but at the same time, like he's also sort of like,
Thunderbeam.
Yeah, and he's he helps to teach Rex. You know, he's kind of like a mentor, and I like that. I like that kind of relationship that they have. It's cool.
Yeah, I really like his character progression because when you first meet him, you're just like this crazy, like, thinks he's all super cool, but he's actually not that powerful, like, guy who just, you don't even really know what his goals are. He just seems insane. And then he keeps like messing himself up, using all these special attacks, and then just like making himself lose. And like in the when you first meet him, he breaks the entire cliff that they're standing on and just falls.
But it's just because he has the worst luck.
Yeah, and then you finally, after the third time you encounter him, you finally found out that, oh wait, he's the Prince of Tantal. He's actually a really cool guy, and he's just
working out for you and wants to test you. Yeah.
So I really like that dynamic, and he's a lot deeper of a character than you think at first. Like, he ran away from home and was going out to try to, you know, fix the world, and, you know, all by himself trying to be this like big hero who saves the world, but he figures out that he's not powerful enough to do it on his own, and he kind of has this interesting dynamic in that way. But he's very friendly and very nice and supportive of everyone, and just willing to help out in any way he can. And he just has a much deeper, you know, personality than when you first meet him, and you just think he's just some idiot who wants to, you know, steal the Aegis.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you learn more about them as the game progresses, for sure. I mean, the same can be said for Morg as well. Like, you know, when you first meet her, you're like, oh, okay, who's this prick?
Yeah,
right?
She's some douche who wants to, you know, stop
like, first
the
you just think
Aegis.
she's a dude. Like, you think she's a dude, right? But she's not.
I never really got the impression that she was the dude. Kind of pretty obvious that she's the girl.
Like, the first couple moments, like, I wasn't sure.
Really? I was always like, okay.
Because in anime, like, there's a lot of dudes that look very feminine. Just saying. I mean, it didn't take very long for me to realize it, but like, just her relationship with her brother and her, resolve to help her country, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I also really like, Jesus, I'm so bad with the names today. But Morog's companion blade.
Oh gosh, what's her name?
Jesus, I'm so bad with the names today.
Dude, so am I. And I love all these characters, but I'm just bad with names in general. It doesn't matter what day it is. It's just all day, every day, I'm terrible with it. But yeah, Bridget. It's Bridget.
Yeah.
Gosh. You think it'd be easier for me because I hear it in English, so I kind of had the name heard more often.
Well, Bridget is she's interesting, right? Because blades aren't able to remember their past lives, excluding Mithra and Pyra and Malos, because they're all the Aegis. But otherwise, like, blades do not remember their past lives because the blade dies. Well, they don't die, but they return to their crystals and they lose all the memories of their past life when their driver dies. So Bridget actually had a book from her previous life, and it's just kind of interesting because you learn more about her and how she tries to understand her past self and how that affects her now. And they kind of raise the question, are they even the same person? So it's all interesting, and I feel like that kind of lends itself towards like Jin's life, which is also a whole other can of worms.
I guess since we're getting into those, why don't we start? We've been talking about all the good guys and all the good characters. Let's start talking about the bad guys, or quote-unquote bad guys, because it kind of turns out that in a way they're good guys in the end, and it's strange. They're kind of good in the end. So.
Well, I don't see those good or bad. I don't think it's meant to be that cut and dry or black and white. I think you have some characters that they're doing certain things for their own reasons, and they're doing it for what they believe is right.
Yeah.
Although Malos is still
Malos is not. He's not. He's just like, oh, I want to destroy the world because it's my purpose in life. That's it. That's the only reason.
He was twisted very significantly because his driver was also highly twisted.
The Praetor.
Which we're led to believe is actually kind of a good guy, but really
He's not. He's not. At all.
No, he's not. But, for a little while you actually think he is. But he's not.
Yeah. At first I thought he wasn't, and then I thought he was, and then you figure out he's not. So it was just like a roller coaster for me. It was all over the place. But yeah, Malos is interesting because when you first meet him, he's kind of, he's rough with you, but you never got, at least at first, I kind of already knew what was happening because I'd seen the other parts of the game a little bit from watching like E3 and stuff.
I didn't. I didn't know what was going on from based off any sort of content, which is kind of
that's
to
good
my
for
benefit.
you. That's good for you because I kind of knew. I was like, okay, Malos is the bad guy. Jin's bad. I know this.
Well,
Neo's
I figured something was gonna go down.
I knew Neo was good. I knew Jin was bad, and I knew Malos was bad. So I was just kind of waiting for that whole thing.
Well, I did know that Rex was gonna get stabbed by Jin because that was literally shown in the trailer. The Nintendo, like, oh, you gotta like Xenoblade.
You gotta like Xenoblade because death. It's awesome. Look at that.
Yeah. So actually, Rex, I just realized Rex is technically the first death in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Except all the monsters. Oh, poor creatures.
Yeah.
That nobody cares about, obviously.
Yeah. But I like Jin. Jin's story is kind of complicated because, he was in love with his driver who died, but he was still alive because he stole his heart. But at the same time, he also kind of watched humanity die. He kind of saw the destruction of the underworld and how all these humans changed to monsters and how blades eventually turn into titans and they were all destroyed. So he has this really like messed up mindset, and Malos takes advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think what he did is not redeemable, but he still kind of ended on a good note.
Yeah. He starts off as a very good person. He's a very good blade. He just wants to help out his driver and help out the Aegis and stop the world from being destroyed. But after, they defeat the Aegis, but the Praetor still the Praetor just hates all the blades. He just hates anything to do with blades. So he just tries to wipe out Titans and blades, and he pretty much hates everything. So, and the Praetor's weird backstory as well, because he was running away from soldiers, and his mom gets killed, and so he kills the soldiers. So that's why he's so messed up. But then he does kind of the same thing. And then Jin gets all messed up, so that's an interesting thing there. Like, so Jin and the Praetor are kind of the same in that.
Praetor's weird because like she tries to live like as, you know, working for the Praetorium or whatever, and like he literally like sees a man steal a baby and is about to kill it or something, and it's just kind of like the thing is he sees the day before the same man doing something good, right? And the next day when no one's looking, supposedly the man's about to kill a baby, and then the Praetor sees this and he's like, okay, yeah. You know, so he like sees like the darkness in humans. I guess that's kind of the big point of it. It's like just to sort of show, I guess, the hypocrisy that people can have, which kind of I feel impacted his development and sort of led to him just kind of saying, "Well, I don't really care about anyone," you know. And I guess his god was the
architect.
The architect, right? And
he saw himself as, you know, doing the architect's will. That was his whole thing, is he's doing what the architect wants. He's, you know, the only one who is worthy of doing the architect's will.
Can we talk about the architect then?
Oh, so we can talk about anything. Nothing is off.
I was talking about with Mikkel, and he actually enlightened me a little bit. So apparently, the architect, the reason we see only half of him is because the other half is the boss in the original Xenoblade.
Yeah, that's a very interesting, like...
So Xenoblade 1 and 2 are actually other sides of the realm that was created by the conflict.
I actually agree with this theory, because you see him creating the world. It's this whole thing in Xenoblade 1 where he wants to create a world, but, you know, it doesn't work out. He wants to be a god and have his own universe.
When he's young, he looks just like Shulk.
Yes, and he's voiced by Adam Howden, who voices Shulk in the English dub. So I definitely think they're the same person.
And Shulk is like a carbon copy of the god on the other side, who supposedly, according to this theory, is the other half of the architect.
Yes,
so I
think this theory very much works out. That's kind of the impression I got, or a similar impression that I got. I was going to go back and rewatch the original Xenoblade to see if that was the same person, because I think they even have the same name and everything. Like, that's pretty much... I think that is canon. Same. Like, that is him.
Yeah. And also, the conflict that led to, like, the creation of that universe, that conflict was the conflict that people fled from, which is where we see the eventual event of Xenoblade X.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the same thing. And the aliens look pretty similar, too, their designs and stuff.
So it's all interconnected. And that's how they connect with each other. So... it's interesting.
Yeah, at first glance, you don't think there's anything really, you know, to bring the two together, but this is Xenoblade 2. This is
so then I wonder, is this the end of Xenoblade then?
No, he said if he wanted to make another one, then it would be called Xenoblade 3. So he already said that he wanted to make a Xenoblade 3, so I don't know.
But is that the next game in the pipeline? I know they're already working on the next game, but is it going to be the next Xenoblade, or are they going to move on to something else?
I think they showed off this artwork of a medieval-style game, so I think they're probably working on that.
Okay, and that could still be Xenoblade. You don't.
It could. It's probably Xeno something. It's made by. I mean, he said he always wants Xeno in the title of anything.
But like Monolith Soft, like before Xenoblade, they had Baten Kaitos, right?
Mm-hmm. If it's made by that same guy, then it's going to be Xeno. If it's the same director, it's going to be Xeno, because he put Xeno in everything, because it's a reference to something, I forget what. But it's to let people know that this is my game, I made this, it's a Xeno game. So, it might not be Xenoblade Chronicles, and it likely won't be Xenoblade Chronicles, but it could be Xeno something else. Like Xeno Gears and stuff that was different from Xenoblade Chronicles, so... yeah, but if they make it with the same director, it's definitely going to be Xeno something. But I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves there, going off away from Xenoblade. But that's a good point you brought up. Like the architect, it's a very good theory that, you know, he is the same person. That's his other half in Xenoblade original, and I got that same exact feeling. I'm gonna have to go back and compare their names.
I mean,
for
I'm
it to be
pretty
certain.
sure. Like,
yeah.
there's a reason why he looks like Shulk.
And
like,
it was pretty much the
he's
same
guy.
thing. Like, there was
Well, the other half.
there was a woman also trying to stop him who, you know, as we know from Xenoblade 1, is the person who was the god of the other Titan, which I cannot remember the name of at this point in time, but that's it. It's the same setup. I just need to go back and compare the names to be absolutely certain that these are the same people. But I'm not even sure if they give you the names in Xenoblade 1, so that would be interesting. If they do, then I can compare them and see for sure. If not, then I'll just have to go with my gut, which is, yeah, they're the same people. But his other half in this game, the architect, is actually a good guy. Like in the original, it's the main evil of that game.
I think he made a terrible mistake, and he's paying for
I wonder if it's his split. I don't even
like this thinking of him as a good guy per se. He's a person who, you know, has a lot of power right now, but he made a terrible mistake.
I wonder if the deal is that certain parts of his emotion were split when he split, and you know, all the bad emotions went on the other side, and these are more of his good emotions, his goodwill. The reason he did this was to actually try to save humanity, and you get to see that side instead of the other one where he's very selfish and he just wants everything for himself. So it could be that his emotions were in fact split, because he seems like a very like caring guy in Xenoblade 2.
I also heard something that there's like always like a mysterious unmasked hero in every Xenoblade game. I don't remember who it was in Xenoblade 1, but I know in Xenoblade X there was some guy who was an influential pilot in Xenoblade X, and then in Xenoblade 1 it's, you know, Rex's predecessor for, you know, Mithra's driver. Do you remember the unmasked or unnamed hero from Xenoblade 1, if there is one? There has to. I feel like there has to be. I think that's it's supposed to be like an intentional motif of an unmasked hero in each game.
Unmasked hero. I don't exactly understand what you mean by that, to be honest.
Adam. We never saw
Adam's
face.
Adam. Okay.
Right. And in Xenoblade X, there is a pilot that was significant in like saving, you know, the whole fight and stuff. I guess whatever. If you don't remember,
I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody who would fit that description. But yeah, I think we've talked about that pretty good. Unless you had any final thoughts on.
No, I think there's a lot to talk about, but
so I think we should move on. I think we've talked about pretty much every character that's important. So I think we should talk about the final few cutscenes, the final boss, and you know the aftermath of all of that. So I think
I didn't like the final boss.
Yeah, me either. Like, I mean, I kind of liked who it was. I just didn't like the fight itself. I felt like it wasn't that it was hard, is that it was like cheap.
Funky.
It was cheap. It was so cheap. Like at first, that first stage is so overwhelmingly easy.
Well, I didn't have too much trouble with it. It was like I think I may have died once or twice the first time. But it was just that it was big, and there were moments where you couldn't hit him.
Yeah, that's what was so annoying. He just moved away, and you couldn't hit him, and then I'm just like, why? And then there's some parts where you literally can't heal. So if you are just about to heal, and then he hits with that, you're just like screwed. And there's some moves that he has that can insta-kill you and almost kill your other party members. And it's not even like an area of effect. It's just no matter where you are, you get hit, and you're dead. And so if you don't have if you just use a chain attack, or you don't have enough of the party gauge build up, you're screwed. Your fight's over. Which is so stupid. It's like there's literally no way to counter it. There's no way to, you know, back away far enough to get away from it. There's nothing you can do. You're just screwed. And I just feel like there's a lot of moves that he has like that, where you're just kind of screwed, and it sucks. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from the final boss, I love the ending itself. The actual ending itself, because
I think it was a very heartfelt ending. You know, you're like,
so.
Loser, but why? She's, you know, like, you should be able to figure something out. And then she ends up being there at the end, which is pretty impactful, I think. You know, so basically it was a happy ending. I mean,
it was pretty happy, yeah.
There was a lot of death, but I feel like almost the deaths were bad guys, so whatever. It does make you feel for the bad guys at the end. So I feel like that adds to the death toll a little bit.
Yeah, because the
But-
bad guys most of the bad guys die helping you out. Like they die helping you get to go defeat Malos.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very interesting turn of events. And then of course, you know, with the architect dying, his other form dies, which if the theory is true, Shulk just killed him. And so what do they call it? That big gigantic like yellow thing that looks just like the core crystal for Pyra and Mithra and Malos, whatever that is called. If you guys have ever played the game, you know what I'm talking about. That leaves, which means the power to the giant space station breaks, and then everything comes crashing down. And you're like, oh well, oh crap. If it doesn't work, if we don't stop this, it's gonna destroy all rest. So everything we've done is in vain, essentially. Malos gets to wish if this just comes and crashes, and then of course Pyra's like,
Yeah.
Pyra has to sacrifice herself, and half of me believed she was just gonna be dead, and half of me didn't. And I was like, Monolith, if you make Pyra die, and this is a sad ending, I'm going to freaking.
Well, the way I thought
kill
they
you.
were going to do it is that they're going to be that he was going to get their orb, right?
Their
and
core,
just
yeah.
and just the core, and just reassimilate. And because a part of them is inside Rex, they would get their memories back through Rex, and they would have been alive again.
Yeah. My thought was, I was worried that they were going to come back and not remember anything, and then Rex would have to like tell them, and that would have been terrible. That would have been such a bad ending. I would have hated that so much. But I'm glad they didn't. Like, they taunt you with it. They taunt you with this. They're like, oh, it's gonna happen. Oh, it's gonna be terrible. And then everything's okay. So it's like, whew. I was so worried that everything was gonna go to crap.
I mean, so it's basically just a happy ending.
Yeah, but they taunt you with this, like, terrible ending. Or terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It makes you feel sad, but then it's like, oh, no, just kidding. It's going to be a happy ending. Everyone lives.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
dude, I would have been so depressed for, like, the next
I mean,
whole
not
day.
everyone lives, right? But
Not
you know what I
everyone.
mean? Like, the main cast of good guy characters are all okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, at the end. Of course, there were some characters that died, throughout the story.
Yeah,
that you're
Vandam
just like, wait,
died.
what? Yeah.
The Praetor's Blade, whatever her name is,
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah.
There are some key deaths. So
Yeah, there were.
Jin dies, which I felt bad about because I actually liked Jin at the end.
And they do sort of make you think that maybe he'll become part of your team because you do kind of use him for a little bit.
Every part of it's not Tantal. It's what are they called? What's the team of bad guys' overall name?
I don't remember.
I don't know, but they all die, and you feel for every single one of them in the end, except Malos. But I kind of not really felt for him. I think they kind of wanted you to maybe feel a little bit, but not really. But Jin, I think, and like everyone helped you out to get to the end. So everyone in that group was instrumental in you saving the world, even though they were the ones trying to stop it. And
most of the time,
because I think yeah. And so I felt like that was a cool way of bringing it all back.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, to sort of like, I guess, go back to where this could end in the future, right? Like, I guess, so basically a continent is created. They find a piece of land.
I love that scene where they're just flying with Gramps and it's just the sunset and everything's super beautiful. I mean, the continent's... Oop, my chair broke. Not broke, but it did a thing. I love that... the continent's textures are kind of low quality, which I always hate. I find this game... RPGs do this a lot, where they focus, like zoom in on the like textures that aren't good, and then the textures that are good, they like zoom out. It's like weird. I don't know. I feel like they choreographed that better. But it was a beautiful scene, and the water, the sun sparkling off the water. Gramps is just such a good looking, like he's just cool looking Titan. Just them flying over everything, and the different special effects that happen. I thought that was a really, really cool looking moment. But what are you going to say?
No, just that, they could easily create Xenoblade 3 based off the land that was created at the end of Xenoblade 2.
Yeah.
They could also create Xenoblade 3 based off what happens after the events of Xenoblade, the original Xenoblade. And they could also create another Xenoblade based off the events of the ending of Xenoblade X. So, I guess there is still technically room to continue Xenoblade, because each Xenoblade game something could happen between each of them, I guess.
Yeah. I have an interesting, just to end off the discussion with a semi DLC predictions. I wonder if this will be a prequel where they actually have you like playing through different things that are happening, different, things that happen to humanity, which causes the architect, or Shulk, or whoever, well, I don't remember what his actual name is, that person to go and use the conduit, that's what it's called, the conduit, to start a new universe. I wonder if it will be a prequel explaining that and tying in Xenoblade 1 and 2 together to give it a concrete reason to be Xenoblade 1 and 2. Because I feel like that would be really cool, and it would actually be very story driven. I don't think there'd be a lot of gameplay. I think a lot of it would be story and you running around and exploring different areas, like smaller areas. But I feel like that would be really cool.
Like Breath of the Wild. Actually, you know what? I don't think the DLC is going to be anything like Breath of the Wild. I think it's more expensive than Breath of the Wild.
It's $10 more, and Xenoblade is a much more story-focused game. I feel like the DLC for Zelda...
They'll actually create a new... Do you think they'll add a new Titan? They could.
I feel like I don't know. They might.
It's not like it's more demanding on the graphics or anything, because they only won't load one Titan at a time, anyways. For the most part, they could add a new Titan. I think that's possible.
Yeah, they could. I just don't know if they do take in a prequel direction. I don't see a reason for a Titan.
I feel like a prequel. I would prefer like a side story.
Really, I'd really prefer a prequel because I really want those games to be tied together like that. And I think it would be better for the overall lore and stuff. I don't know. I'd like a side story as well. Like, that'd be perfectly fine.
Well, like a side story, because that way I can literally use the same stats I have.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
I don't really care.
Otherwise, you can't.
I guess some people might care about that. I don't care.
Oh.
I'll use that for all the... I
just think it could be interesting to use Jin.
Yeah, no, I mean like even further back. I mean before the world's created.
I know what you were thinking. I feel like that's too much though. I feel like that's not realistic, because then you're literally asking for completely new characters.
Oh no, they're already there.
No one.
They're already there. I'm just talking about more backstory. Like, they're already animated and made. For the character who uses the conduit to create the universe.
But he's not a fighter. He's a scientist.
I know. But
then you have to create completely new maps too, like altogether. Like, not even, like, none of it would be.
They already have the space station. I don't feel like it'd be that hard. Else. I mean, you wanting them to make a new Titan, which is a new map anyways, then it wouldn't have to be.
But I'm talking about one map, right? Like,
they wouldn't have to create a bunch of maps.
I'm saying
because the world's only one map in
the past, you wouldn't be able to access any of the other areas while you're playing in the past. I don't see it. I mean, like, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying I don't see it happening.
I don't really see it happening either. It's just kind of what I want to happen.
Okay.
Like, it'd be cool. I don't know. I feel like
I think
I don't care about using the same blades or using the same map or anything. Like, I like the idea of going into the DLC and be like, okay, I'm playing the DLC. I'm not playing the main game anymore. This is the DLC. I'm in the DLC area. This is the DLC story. Like, I'm okay with that. I wanted that with Breath of the Wild too, but it was just the same places and it was before the final boss. And I didn't really like that. I was like, I wanted after the final boss, like we were talking about before the DLC came out.
I would like it to maybe it be a whole new Titan, but you still have to at some points go back and do different side quests or a little mini quest within the other Titans. But there's going to be a whole new other Titan where a big part of the action for this new story quest will take place. And maybe there'll be a couple new characters introduced, or maybe there'll be some sort of something to do with characters that are already established that will create more conflict. I think it'll be something along those lines.
I feel like it'd be weird story-wise. Like, the first time you play through, these characters don't exist, then you're there and like, oh, there's this new side thing now. Like, how would that work? Would it be different depending on? Because I feel like this game's story is so linear. like you can't just drop the side thing in, because then it wouldn't work in time. Because it wouldn't work, because then you're having to go through different. If you're playing at a different time, it wouldn't make sense.
So the other possibility is that you do go back in time, but you go back in time to the time of Adam.
I feel like they have to do something that's not in the same time frame, because I mean, for all the people who've already beaten the game, you're either gonna make them have to play through the game again and do that when it happens, or like you're gonna be like, oh, I'm at the final boss, but there's this other thing that I need to go do before the final boss. That's a story thing. When I mean,
just beat the final boss. They do that in Breath of the Wild. Technically, whenever you're doing a side quest or a blade quest, that's
because Breath of the Wild has a very open story.
Right. Well, I mean,
not
it's still
story focused. I feel like this would completely break the story and make no sense.
It could also be an epilogue.
I feel like it has to be something that's not in the context of the story.
Except I don't think it could be an epilogue, because at the end of Xenoblade, all the continents come together, and there's no way they're going to completely restructure. Well, maybe they could.
I don't think it'd be that hard, because you just make a small area. You make
all the Titans are all connected.
Yeah, they're all there. You already have all the Titan designs. Then you just make one new landmass in the middle that connects the Titans, and you're good. Like, it wouldn't be that hard.
What if the new story quest makes the entire game open world?
That would be pretty dope, I guess.
That wouldn't happen, though.
No. I mean, in a way it could. No, I don't know how that would work. I think it would probably be loading screens between, like, even if you play on the land that connects them and you can go to them, I feel like there could be loading screens between going to them. I feel like to get to it, you'd have to like go through a gate or something, and then it would load, and then you would get to it the time. So I don't think it would be completely open world. But I mean, I don't know if it would be that hard, because I mean, X loaded all at once, and that was on the Wii U with 2 gigabytes of super slow RAM. So,
but I don't know if they would handle it as an epilogue, though, because the thing is, then people who buy the deals, the story quest, can't play that until they beat the game, and then you can't go back.
But you can't play the Zelda one until you beat pretty much the entire game, anyways. So that's not too bad of a point.
Is it?
Yeah, you have to beat all the divine beasts and be like right about to go beat Ganon before you can do that. It's like the second DLC pack.
Well, I guess you're right.
So I feel like you could totally make it like after the end of the game. It'd be fine. I'd actually prefer that if it's like before the beginning of the game or after the end. That's what I want. Because a side story, I feel like, as I was saying before, like, how would you slot that in? Because it's a very linear story. You could just say,
oh no, we have to do this because it will stop the tree from working.
Because why?
Maybe there'll be a giant Titan dragon that'll paralyze the entire tree. It's a space-time dragon, so it'll lock the entire world tree into a time.
I wouldn't like that, because
so then it doesn't matter how long you take.
It doesn't.
And you can just do whatever you want.
That doesn't make any sense in a linear story. You can't do that. For Breath of the Wild, because for Breath of the Wild, it doesn't. It makes sense.
How would it not make sense?
It doesn't make sense. You played through it the first time, this didn't happen. You played through it the second time, this happens. It makes no sense.
You pay money. A space-time dragon titan will come in and lock the world tree into a space-time continuum. And until you kill the space-time dragon titan, you will not be able to save the world tree.
No, please. That sounds so dumb. It's not that the idea is dumb. It's that the fact that it didn't happen before, and now all of a sudden you have this DLC and it just happens. What if you're at the final boss door, and then like I've already beaten the game, so I start out right at the door. Is it just gonna be like, oh, you can't go through this door because Space Dragon? What?
I feel like they could easily get away with just adding a really epic side quest. It's a side quest. There are a whole bunch of side quests you can go back and do, except this story quest is just a really huge side quest that has cutscenes.
They could.
I
feel like it'd be disappointing, just like Breath of the Wild was, but they could do that.
They could do that. They could also do the epilogue where, the problem with the epilogue is that you wouldn't be able to fight the final boss anymore. They would have to change that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, could it be like starting hard mode? You could just start after the end mode and then go back. But
it would go along the lines of what I said of creating one more giant titan, or in this
I don't
case,
think that'd be that hard.
Just one more landmass
Yeah.
right?
And then you have the other Titans that are already connected, and you could have loading
Yeah.
screens in between them or not, depending on
Yeah.
how the Switch will run it.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
And
that's
then
a bad
I don't
idea.
think your idea is realistic.
I don't, but it'd be really cool.
But what would be realistic is not with Rex, but the time of Adam, because basically all the Titans were there, and you could just add the Titan or two that were destroyed, right? And those could be the ones you explore. But
Yeah,
I don't think
they could
that would
totally
work
do that.
because the thing is, you wouldn't be able to go and do all the normal side quests that you explore throughout the main game. Whatever you do during the DLC, you should be able to do all the other stuff as well. So that's
I feel
why
like they could just make it to where you go into the DLC and then you can leave it at any time and go back to the main game, like leaving hard mode and going to normal mode. Like I don't think it'd be that hard.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be that hard, but I just don't think they want to disconnect it. In terms of game design, I don't think they want to do that.
I feel like it's a good idea. I feel like I don't.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
I don't know. Well, yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have a little segment here, giving our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anything else you want to talk about, or are we good here?
I'm good, man. I think
pretty good.
I love Xenoblade 2, and I can't wait to play the DLC when it comes out.
Yeah, for sure. I still haven't bought it. I assume, have you bought it or no?
No, I haven't bought it yet. Either.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy it till the first pack comes out, and then I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think we both love the game a lot. It's a great game. I guess at the final thing, how do you think it ranks in the 3 Xenoblade games for you personally?
I don't know. I like all 3 of them. I like all 3 of them. I think the story was really good. I think the story, because of the story, I don't know, man, because like Xenoblade X was fun to explore too. But you know what? I'll put Xenoblade X in last place. So it's between Xenoblade 1 and 2. And my expectations were a lot lower for Xenoblade 1. So Xenoblade 1 impressed me a lot. Xenoblade 2 did not impress me as much from a technical perspective, right? But I have gotten into the battle system a lot more with Xenoblade 2. I'm learning more about the nuances, and I'm playing more of the side quests. So I'm getting more into Xenoblade 2, but that might have more to do with me simply getting more into the Xenoblade series in general. But it's hard to say. I don't know. All I'm gonna say is that Xenoblade X is last.
Yeah, I'd say
Xenoblade 1 is probably still first.
As far as gameplay goes, I think Xenoblade 2 is the best one, in my opinion. As far as story, I think the first one had
the best combat system.
Yeah, I think the first one had a bit better story, personally. Like, to be honest, I think its story was just a bit better. I think it had a few more...
A lot less awkward moments, too.
Yeah, it had less awkward moments. I feel like it made you care more about the world.
But
like,
you know
the world
what?
was more
I did enjoy that. I think Xenoblade 2 has a lot. I feel like Xenoblade 2 really felt like in a full-on anime that had a lot of comical moments and action moments. The thing is, with Xenoblade 2, I just think the execution of a lot of those moments wasn't done as well. Yeah. Right? Like, the actual moments themselves were cool. Like if you look at it on paper, Xenoblade 2 is very, very good, and I enjoy a lot of the, I don't want to say filler scenes, but a lot of the scenes that, like finding Mithra in the bed with Rex, or when Mithra slaps Rex and it goes into that transition with Zeke. Mm-hmm. I really love the characters in Xenoblade 2. I would say I might like the characters more in Xenoblade 2, but I think the execution of the story was done better in Xenoblade 1.
Yeah. I feel like the stakes were just a bit higher in the original. Like, you felt like you were in danger more often.
Yes. I'm gonna have to agree with you. The story in Xenoblade 1 was better. I think the flow of the story was also better. But like I said, I like the characters of Xenoblade 2 the best, and I like the combat in Xenoblade 2 the best.
Yeah.
I like the exploration of the world the best in Xenoblade X. I think that's the best of those games, and that was the focus of the game. And the scales were awesome. Like, I mean, you know.
The skulls, I
Skulls
won't
are
go
awesome.
into it because I could talk about the skulls for like another half hour, but there were some things I liked about them, but I feel like they made the combat too simple. That's all I'll say. I'm not trying to get into that too much. But yeah, I feel
I
like...
wish they just created an open world that had a progressive story like Xenoblade 1 or 2. Why I don't see why they can't do
I
both.
don't know why they can't. People...
I mean, maybe you could lock out certain parts and just, but as you explore the world, you can get to more and more of it seamlessly. Like that way, you could, because if you want to restrict a player from going to certain points, then okay, restrict access to certain points. But once you get to them, you can go through them freely, as opposed to just having single points. But you know, maybe the next game will be open world again. We'll see how that works out. Or maybe we'll have to wait until the next Zelda game for the Zelda team to show people how to create an open world and have a good story.
Yeah, because Breath of the Wild definitely does not show that.
Right. So hopefully it'll do both.
Yeah, my final thoughts on how they rank, I'd say because I like story the most in RPGs, that's probably my favorite element of RPGs is the story. So I think even though the gameplay's better in 2, I think that 1 edges it out just a bit because I don't think the gameplay's better enough to outweigh how much better the story is in 1. So I think they're very close, but I think Xenoblade 1 is just a bit higher than 2, and then X, it just didn't have much of anything story, so it's like way down at the bottom. But I still loved the gameplay in X. It was great. Exploration was great. Not a bad game at all. Probably my favorite game on the Wii U, but doesn't hold a candle to 1 or 2. But yeah. Anyways, I think we're done with this discussion. If you guys liked this discussion, make sure to like and subscribe to both my channel and Andre's Research channel. Both of those are, well, mine's obviously here, and Andre's is down in the description below. And make sure to like and share these videos so all kinds of other cool, awesome people can see. And we can have a bunch of people talk about it in the comments. So make sure to have a good old discussion in the comments. We'd like to hear your thoughts about what you guys think as well. But I'll see all of you guys later on What About Nintendo. Bye, guys.